guys, today we are working on section 7.3, which is solution of linear system of equation using iterative methods in numerical technique. So a system of linear equation is more than one equation in more than one variable. So this is an example for us where we have a system of linear equation and we are going to solve this one. This is actually in general form. The a's and b's are the constant and x1, x2, x3 up to xn are the variables, and we are going to solve it using iterative method. Now iterative method are not, it is not possible to always give us a convergent solution. So we can check if a system can give us a convergent solution or not by checking with this technique. So this one will only work on the constant term in an equation. I'm going to show you guys how to work on this. So here is Gauss-Jacobi method. Gauss-Jacobi method is a little bit more time consuming, need more calculation, and the first step is we need to solve. We have 1 2 3 4 equations in 4 unknown, x1, x2, x3, x4. So I'm solving the first equation for x1. How you are doing that? I have 10x1 minus x2 plus 2x3 equal to 6, and I want to solve this equation for x1. So what I'm going to do is move these two terms on the other side by adding x2 and subtracting 2x3 on both sides. So that will give us 10x1 is equal to something, and then we will divide both sides by 10. So what will we get is, from the first equation I will get x1 is equal to 6 plus x2 minus 2x3, and then we will divide by 10. The second equation will give us x2 is equal to 25 plus x1 plus x3 minus 3x4, and then we are dividing by 11. Then my third equation will give me x3 equal to negative 11 minus 2x1 plus x2 plus x2 plus x4, and then we will divide by 10. The last one is x4, which is 15 minus 3x2 plus x3, which is divided by 8. So technique is same. The first equation is solved for x1, second equation is solved for x2, third equation is solved for x3, and fourth equation is solved for x4. 15 minus 3x2 plus x3 divided by 8. Okay, now we are starting calculating the solution using iterative method. First step is starting with all the values are 0. So we are assuming in the first step x1, x2, x3 and x4 all of them are 0, and using these values to calculate the second step. So if I say x2, x3 are 0, then x1 is equal to 6 divided by 10, which is 0.6. x1, x3, x4 are 0, so 25 divided by 11 is 2.2727, repeating. x3, so if x1, x2, x4 are 0, negative 11 divided by 10 is negative 1.1. 15 divided by 8, what is 15 divided by 8 is 1.875. 1.875. Okay, now when we have calculated the second step, we are going to use these values to calculate the third step. When you have calculated the third step, you will use these values, the values of the third step in fourth step, and so on. So as you keep continuing calculating the steps, you will see that the first column x1 will be approaching to 1, x2 is approaching to 2, x3 negative 1, and x1 is equal to 1, but they will not give you the exact value, because numerical techniques we expect always the approximate solution, not the exact solution. Okay, but our goal will be always to keep the error minimum and get a convergent solution. So how can you check if the system is giving you a convergent solution or not? So this is the criteria for checking. You will check all the variable terms, not the constant terms. So this one is a constant term, I'm not checking this one. These two are the variable terms. What are the coefficient of x2? 1 divided by 10. What are the coefficient of x3? Negative 2 divided by 10. So I'm taking the absolute value 1 divided by 10 plus 2 divided by 10, which is less than 1. The same way the coefficient of the variables, so 1 divided by 11 plus 1 divided by 11 plus 3 divided by 11, which is less than 1. We are taking absolute value, so the coefficient will be always positive. Then 2 divided by 10 plus 1 divided by 10 plus 1 divided by 10. Each of the equation will give us the sum of the coefficients will be less than or equal to 1. If this condition is satisfied, then you will have a convergent system of equation. Now I have completed the calculation of this problem. Let me show you guys. I have used an Excel sheet to complete the calculation. So right now I'm going to share my screen with you, and here is it. So in the first step we said we are taking x1, x2, x3 and x4, all of them are 0, and we use them in the second step. This is giving us 0.6, 2.2727, negative 1.1, 1.875. When we have calculated this step, we are using these values in the next step, and then we can proceed calculating. So each step is used in the next step, and we can see as we move on, x1 is approaching close to 1, x2 is approaching to 2, x3 is approaching to negative 1, x4 is again approaching to 1. Okay, so this is Gauss-Jacobi method, and you can see you need 1, 2, I have calculated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 step, and the result is still giving us an approximate answer, not a very close to. So there is a difference in the exact solution and the calculated solution. Okay, so let me go back to the worksheet, and I'm going to solve another problem for you guys. So in the second one, we have another example. I am going to solve the first equation the same way. First equation for first variable, second equation for second variable, third equation for third variable, fourth equation for fourth variable. So what will I get is x1 is equal to negative 5 plus x2 plus x3 minus 2x4 divided by 5. Then x2 is equal to, we are using the second equation, 14 plus x1 minus 4x3 plus x4 divided by 14. Third equation is solved for x3, 1 minus 2x1 minus x2 minus x4 divided by negative 6. x4 is equal to 4 minus x1 minus x2 divided by 3. Okay, so again the calculation is similar. First step is starting with 0, all of them are 0, and then when I use all of them are 0 in this equation, so we are using this one for the iteration technique. So what will happen? x2, x3, x4 are 0, x1 is negative 5 divided by 5, which is negative 1, x2 is 14, not 7, x2 is 14 divided by 7, which is 2, x3 is 1 divided by 6. So what is 1 divided by 6? Negative 0.1667, and then 4 divided by, next one and next two are 0. We have 4 divided by 3, so 4 divided by 3 is 1.333. We have calculated this step, and now we are going to use these values to calculate the next step. When you have calculated this next step, you will use these values in the next step. So again, I'm going to show you guys what is the solution for this one. I have used Excel worksheet for completing the calculation. So here you go. Here is it. The first step is starting with assuming all x1, x2, x3, x4 are 0. Then we use these values to calculate the next values. Next step is giving us -1 to -0.16667, 1.333, and then we are using these values to calculate the next step and keep going on calculating. And we can see the first one is very close to -1. Second variable is close to +2. Third variable is close to 0. And then fourth variable x4 is actually also close to 1. So if you keep calculating more, that will give you a more convergent solution. But on your exam, maybe I will ask you guys calculate 5 steps. So you need to calculate 5 steps. Okay, now next technique is Gauss serial method. So there is another example. You guys will complete this one, and then there is Gauss serial method, and I'm going to show you guys Gauss serial method in another short video. Okay.